Sorry, I'm muted. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday talk. And we have our topic is mastering of the inner kingdom. And we have Sister Judy with us today to guide us through this topic. And so for all of you that is joining us on YouTube and Facebook and who are live on Zoom, welcome. For those that are returning, warm welcome. And anybody that's joining us, thank you for being here. This is brought to you by the Manhattan Meditation Center and Peace Village Retreat. So two beautiful spaces. If you haven't visited us, please do so. It's actually a very healing space. It doesn't matter which one you go to. So today's topic, it was very interesting. When I saw it, I was just like, I wish I knew this when I was younger. I know when I saw some of the questions of what's the condition of your mind, or who's the boss over your inclination and habits. And I'm just like, gosh, I don't know if I could have really answered that when I was younger. And honestly, until I went into Raj Yoga, I truly had no idea what was going on. The only time I had a clue is when people were like, what's that look for? And I'm like, what look? And I truly thought, what I was projecting out was what was going on until people called me out on it. So it's been a very interesting journey, and it's been really interesting to understand that inner kingdom. And I'm really looking forward to listening to Sister Judy. And if most of you know Sister Judy, I think Judy Rodgers is actually a media consultant with an interest in applied spirituality. Sister Judy's been studying and teaching with the Brahma Kumaris for over 25 years. If any of you have personally met Sister Judy, it's really an amazing interaction. I had the opportunity to meet Sister Judy several times in Peace Village, and I could tell you one of the most impactful moments for me was when I was having to give feedback back to Sister Judy on some stuff. And she listened with such an open heart. And it was like that was the first time that I've actually said something, whether I was complaining or what, I don't remember. But I remember I didn't have to repeat the story again. Like I could truly felt that she was present, she was listening. And I don't know if you can really do that if you didn't have the mastery of that inner kingdom. So it was one of those moments that I really felt like, wow, if I could truly do that for people, to really be present and come with your whole heart, to where we didn't have to repeat our stories. Have you ever felt like when you don't feel like you're being heard, the story gets repeated over and over and over, and you're like, why is nobody listening? But I think it's really because we are not mastering that inner kingdom ourselves. So just a couple of housekeeping stuff. Just wanted to let y'all know that we do have live meditations twice a day from 12 o'clock at Power Boost, and pretty much Monday through Friday. And then on the rest of the week, we have Good Night Meditation at 8 o'clock from Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday, it's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a really great workshop coming up, which is the Science of Happiness on Saturday from 10 to 12. So if you haven't registered, please do so. I think it'll be a nice experience, because I think we need a lot more happiness right now. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Sister Judy, and to really understand how we can master that inner kingdom today.
Thank you, Suja. I don't remember that feedback. I'll have to think back on what I did that made you feel heard. It's funny with these topics. Rona says every time, do you want to pick a topic? And I say, no, you pick the topic. So then I get these topics from her, and then I have to like put my head around it, right? And say, all right, what are we talking about here? So I really kind of, it's a game for me that I get to think about it after she proposes what she'd like to have us meet about. So this is a good one. Mastery of the inner kingdom. And I'm going to just invite you to interrupt me whenever you'd like. If you just put something in the chat or put your hand up, I'll try to respond. Since all of you are not here, you're all just names. I don't know how I would see your hand, but you signal me somehow and I will respond. So I want to start with the idea that the world we have, that is the world we're living in, is exactly the world we have created together. And then further, I want to suggest that the life that each of us has is the life that we have made with our thoughts, our attitudes, our vision, our words, our actions, that we have created the life we're in. I hope that doesn't feel controversial to you, but if it does, put your question in the chat and we'll go there. But what I'm proposing to you is that the inner world creates the outer world, that they are part of the same wheel of life, that the inner world is generating the outer world. So this idea that we need inner mastery is really a big idea, because it's really about creating the life you want to live and the world you want to be in. So as Sister Sue just said, there was a point when she wasn't very aware of what was going on inside. And I think we, at different times in our lives, we are more or less aware of this. And in fact, it can be kind of funny. If you've not ever done any meditating, if you're new to the idea of practice, which I don't think most of you are, because I recognize some of your names, but if you are brand new to it and someone says to you, why don't you turn inside? Why don't you go inside? It can be quite chaotic in there. You know, going inside is not always a joyful experience if you haven't done any work on your inner self. If you haven't thought about what's going on inside, it can be a bit of a jumble. I mean, it can be, you know, it's kind of movies you've seen, memories you've had, conversations that took place during the day, headlines, social media, replaying scenes that happened, all of these things just kind of rolling around inside of you. And when we're like that inside, when it's just kind of all this spontaneous stuff in there, subtle stuff, I would say, right? A memory is a subtle thing. Replaying a scene you've been in, that's a subtle process. Your thoughts are subtle. Your self-talk is very subtle. All these things going on inside. That's what's generated your life. And when we live like that, when that's our inner condition, we tend to be very affected by the outer world. So someone sends us a text that we don't like, or we overhear something, or someone confronts us or disagrees with us, or a child talks back to us or isn't home when they're supposed to be, or on and on and on, it tends to set off a fire inside, right? We have this big reaction. We're thinking, why did this happen? What's going on? We might get angry. We might get upset. And so the condition that we're in can feel quite out of control. It can feel quite unmanageable and uncomfortable. We can be actually uncomfortable in our own skins, We can be uncomfortable in our own minds. And so what happens to us if we're living like that is that we get tired of being stirred up. We get exhausted by this fluctuation, and at some point we decide we're going to make a change. We want to be happy. We want to be cheerful. We want to be playful. We want to be light. We want the mind to be at peace. And so we start searching. And I'm going to guess that for those of you who are here tonight chatting together with me about this inner kingdom, I'm going to guess that you had some moment like that where you said, okay, I can't go on like this. I can't go on feeling this way, or I can't go on with such a short fuse, or I need more reserve to be in the world at this time, and I'm going to make a change. And so that's what our meditation practice is. All those nice offers that Suja made at the beginning, come to this workshop, come to this talk, come sit in our spaces, come relax, let us take care of you, which we, of course, could do better before COVID. Those are the kinds of invitations that say to you, you don't have to live like that. You don't have to live with that discomfort inside. So what I thought I'd talk with you about tonight is just to try to clarify what that process is. How do you go from having a mind that's kind of jumbled, or a heart that's in permanent or semi-permanent upset? How do you go from that state to a state where you would say that you have some mastery over what's going on inside, where you have the ability to choose or control or direct a bit what's going on inside? So I'm going to start real simple, and that would be to create a place to sit inside. Now, of course, if you've got a meditation practice, you've already created a place to sit outside. So you know where to put your body, right? You can put your body in some nice chair. You can put your body in front of a candle. You can put your body in front of some nice image. But where do you put yourself, your inner self? So generally, it's understood that the seat of the soul is behind the eyes, right here, just back a little bit. And that this is where you, the soul, the self, are seated, and that this place, you need to kind of clear the boxes out of the way. If you haven't cleared your mind, if it's filled with those jumbled things, you have to sort of clear that out of the way, because you need to be able to go and sit there as the self. So that is the seat of the soul. Now, another thing that helps, and you may already be doing this, if we were together in a room sipping tea and chatting, I would ask you, do you talk to yourself? I mean, some people talk to their bodies, right? You've done a big long run and now your feet hurt, and you're saying to them, what do I need to do for you? I'm so sorry. Or you've got a stomach ache, you ate something really hot and chilly, or you drank some dreadful diet drink. Now you're really sorry. So you're talking to your stomach, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. But I'm talking about your ability to quiet the mind and comfort the heart by speaking to your mind and heart, by becoming aware of what's going on in your mind and in your heart, especially in your mind and your heart. So I'm going to focus a little bit on those things. So the mind, I think everyone wants peace of mind, but I think also everyone wants an alert mind. They want a mind that can be responsive in the moment. They want a mind that's aware. They want a mind that's relationally astute, meaning that you can be in conversation with someone and really understand what's going on with them, and not have your own story or your own anxiety or your own upset so predominant in your mind that you can't hear anyone else. right? So the mind is constantly running. If you haven't learned how to rein it in, it's like a constant, it's like your cell phone. There's just something always going on in the mind and stirred by the outside. A mind where you have no mastery is a reactive mind. You jump when you hear someone say something. They send you something, they make a request, you've got an immediate reaction. You've got lots of opinions about everything, right? And so your mind is filled with these opinions and these thoughts and these beliefs and these reactions, all of that stuff going on in the mind. And this is very tiring. It's very tiring for the mind to be constantly generating like that. And then add if you've got children or you've got, more than one job or whatever you're managing, all of that is in the mind as well. So the first thing to learn to do with the mind is to bring it to a full stop. Now, the full stop is actually a method, but I'm going to suggest to you that what you may need to do, if your mind is really one of those wild minds, you may need to first quiet your mind and then make your mind hold still and then make it silent. Because it may not work. It'd be like going fast, full speed, and then slamming on your brakes. It may not work to just do a full stop right away. You may need to kind of pump the brakes, as you would say if you're driving. You need to slow yourself down until you've got your mind in a full stop. Now, when your mind slows down, something happens, and that is you can see the quality of thought that you're having. And it's really important to understand that every single thought has a vibration. Every single thought generates an atmosphere around you. Every single thought creates an attitude, it colors your vision. If you've ever opened your mouth and said something that you regretted, you could trace that back to the thought in your mind. So when you look at your mind, when you finally got it slowed down, and you look at the quality of thought in your mind, mastery means becoming aware that it's not just that you have to live with whatever thought wandered in your mind, but that you can choose the thought in your mind. Now, I would, minds have patterns. Minds and hearts both have patterns. There's a pattern in everyone's mind. You have a pattern of thinking. Some people are oriented to the past. And if you had your cameras on, I would say, how many of you are oriented to the past? How many of you tend to go back and replay scenes that you've lived and remember things, right? That's one orientation. Others are oriented to the future. They're kind of in a planning mode, anticipation mode, worry mode, fear mode. So we've got those different kinds of patterns of thought. Some people have an ongoing dialogue in the mind about, for example, low self-respect. It sounds something like this. I called her, but I didn't leave a message because she probably wouldn't call me back. Or I left a message, but I don't think I'm going to hear back from her. Or I wonder if what I said was really stupid. I wonder if they're thinking I was really stupid, that thing I said, or that email I sent. Or I don't think they would want me to come. I don't think I'm going to go because I don't think the others would want me to come, right? That kind of, that inner dialogue is low self-respect. So if that's the state inside, that's the thoughts you're producing, and those thoughts reinforce the state. So you can't exit. The way you would exit a pattern of low self-esteem is you would start to produce different thoughts, right? And those thoughts would go with different beliefs and all of that. So to be able to choose your thoughts is the way that you actually begin to choose your life. Obviously, there's a lot to it, and we'd need a whole weekend here at Peace Village to work this out, but I'm giving you the kind of main idea here. So one kind of thought are negative thoughts, like the ones I just described, these low self-esteem thoughts, or angry thoughts, or some people who have a lot of anger. And so the things that come out of their mouth are constantly critical, constantly angry. They're offended a lot, right? Or some people have very kind of they're sort of sad, permanently sad. Everything's a little bit, their view on the world's a little bit sad. So all of those kinds of thoughts of sorrow, thoughts of worry, thoughts of anger, thoughts of low self-esteem, all of that are negative thoughts. If you see those thoughts in your mind, you need to be able to switch them. You need to be able to see them, bring your mind to a full stop, take the thought out, and replace it with a different thought. There's also a category of thought that isn't exactly negative, but it's just kind of wasteful, right? It's just kind of this running movie in the mind about, things you have to do, list of things you have to do, and what people said, and replaying what they said, and all of that, just a waste of time. And a lot of that goes on for people. And then there are positive thoughts. So, what is a positive thought? A positive thought falls in the range of your natural innate virtues, which the psychologists call emotions. I don't know if you remember them. It depends if you've covered them up or not. But joy, contentment, awe, gratitude, kindness, empathy, respect, sweetness, all of this kind of thought are positive thoughts. They're very, very, very powerful. A positive thought. Even one powerful thought is very powerful. One positive thought is very powerful. For example, someone does something disappointing. A friend says something disappointing to you. You can have the negative thought, she probably doesn't like me, or an angry thought. Or you can say, she might be having a bad day. I know she's under a little pressure. She might be having a tough time. Let me give it a little break and then I'll give her a call. Or what is it that I might do to make this work a little better? I see that things have gotten a little rough here with this relationship with this one, my son, my brother, my landlord, my boss, my whatever. Let me give them the benefit of the doubt. And let me show up with something warm, let me extend myself in a nice way and kind of in friendship. So that kind of thought, the thought of giving them a break, the thought of respect, the thought of regard, the thought of friendship, that kind of a thought holds a ton of power. First, as a vibration. You can feel someone's friendly overture to you without their ever opening their mouth. And you know that, right? You've gotten on an elevator or stood at a desk checking into a hotel or standing in line to get food, and someone flashes you a smile and comments on your dog or your child or your outfit or something, and you feel the warmth, right? So there's a vibration difference between the negative thoughts that run in the mind and the positive thoughts that you want to switch with. Now, a positive thought not only creates this vibration, it actually changes the atmosphere. And you know the difference, right? If you ever walked into a room where someone has just been angry, you can tell something happened. Even if the fight's over, you can feel the stiffness in the air. And it's the same with sweetness and lightness and playfulness. If there's a playful attitude in the air and lightness, you can pick it up immediately. And that lightness, the vibrations and the atmosphere created by that lightness actually generate more possibilities in terms of relationship and in terms of the way you think and the choices you make. So your ability to change that thought, to interrupt a negative thought and replace it with a positive thought is very, very powerful. Very powerful. And there are people who can do this quite well, no matter what. And those people create a life that's a joy to live in. And that's what I was talking about right at the beginning, is our ability to choose the life we want. Has to do with choosing the thought that has a powerful vibrational field and the powerful field of possibility. So, how do we do that? I think we should practice. Let's have a little practice. I just wish I could see you. I'm not just your name.
There's one question out there for you, Sister Judy.
All right, let's look at the question before we practice. How are vibrations absorbed by positive events or corrective events, and how does that change circumstances? What role do vibrations play in reducing negative thinking? As in, how can you change vibrations to change negative thinking? Well, so the vibration, so it starts with the idea that we are conscient light energy, right? Human beings, of course, we have the body, we have the human part, but the being is energy. The being is conscient light energy. So the being is already a vibrational being. Light communicates, light moves through vibrations. So a thought or a feeling is the language of thought and feeling is vibration. So when you change your thought or change your feeling, you automatically change the vibration. And the other people that you're with, whether it's in an office, you can always tell in an office somebody who's got that warmth and sweetness, etc. Everyone finds reasons to go stand at their desk, that kind of thing. The vibration actually is a huge attraction. It's tangible. You can feel a vibration. There's no heavy lifting with it. You know, if I'm holding a thought of kindness, let's just take kindness. I'm holding a thought of kindness. So that means that my attitude, as I look around my office or my home or wherever I am, my classroom, I look around, my attitude will be filled with kindness, right? Because I'm holding that thought. My vision will be predisposed to see someone with kindness. And when I open my mouth, whatever I say will be kind. It's not possible. Thank you, Carmen. Nice to see you. It's not possible to have an unkind thought if you're in the awareness of kindness. Won't happen. The only thing that can come from a mind filled with kind thoughts and kind attitudes, hi Jocelyn, thank you, is kindness, right? Saraswati, hello, nice to see you. So what I'm trying to explain here is once you can switch that thought, you actually generate an entirely different atmosphere around you, and it communicates instantly with other human beings because they are vibrational beings also. It's very powerful to be able to do this. So I think we should let's do a little 1-minute meditation. I'm going to invite you. Here's what I want you to do. Make sure your body's comfortable. Make sure that your neck is over your spine, so you're kind of aligned. And I want you to think of some situation that's a little bit challenging. It could be a person that you're a little bit challenged by. It could be a situation that you're in. Doesn't need to be giant. It can be a small one. But I want you to hold for a minute your awareness of that challenging situation. Just bring it into your mind. Notice the thoughts that come along with it. You might even sense sort of a feeling in the mind, if you will. Minds have a little bit of feeling as well. So notice that. And now what I want you to do is allow that thought to shrink and move away, and replace that thought with one powerful thought. And be very picky. Replace it with the thought of friendship. Replace it with the thought of contentment. Replace it with the thought of compassion. So what you're doing is you are removing the problematic thought, the one with the challenging situation, and you are invoking the positive, powerful thought. And you're invoking it from inside of you. It is your natural property. You don't have to go find it somewhere. So just in your mind, what you would do if you were in the situation, you would pause for a minute. You would be aware that you're getting worked up a little bit in your mind. You would stop that thought, let it go, and you would invoke this replacement thought that has more power. And then you would hold this new thought and let it take root in your mind. And as it takes root in your mind, it then generates this different vibrational field. And whatever you say after that will be different than it would have been before. Or even if you said nothing and you just look at them, your eyes will be different. Got it? So it's a little quick meditation you do yourself in the moment. The trick is catching yourself at it, realizing I'm getting upset here. You could even say, I need to get a glass of water. I'll be right back. And you in your mind, you see what's there, you release that thought, you invoke the positive, powerful thought, and you hold that thought. Got it? Okay. I want to work a little bit with the heart. I want to make sure we have time to work with the heart. So when we talk about inner mastery, we're talking about that inside world, right? You turn your face inside. So some of it is the thoughts in your mind, and some of it is the feelings in your heart. Now, the heart is a funny thing. The heart tends to hold on to things. The heart in its original state is a happy, playful, light, lovely place. That's how you arrived. You arrived with your heart loving. That was the original nature of your heart. But when things happened, experiences happened, disappointments happened, people said things and did things, etc., and you took sorrow or you felt angry or whatever happened, that feeling of sorrow or anger lodged in the heart. So the heart tends to hold that stuff. It also holds good things. So the heart will hold joy and it'll hold pleasure, but it will also hold worry and sorrow and fear and all of that kind of thing. And when the heart holds those things, we actually seem to shrink a little bit. I don't know if you can connect with that, but the heart sort of shrinks a little bit. Have you ever felt your heart break? I mean, I have felt my heart break. Have you ever felt a stone on your heart? Something so disappointing happened, something so sad that you feel like you have a rock on your heart, right? The heart holds all of that stuff. So when you're working with gaining mastery of the heart, what you're doing is cleaning the heart. You have to clean out the things that got stuck in the heart. Now, usually when I do this, I don't do it in 10 minutes. I usually take about 6 hours with you, or at least 3 hours with you to help you work with your heart, because the heart is a very precious place. And just to help you understand a little bit how this happens. So an event happens to us. Something goes on, something happens, someone, some scary thing or sad thing or whatever happens to us. And the example I've used before, because I need a silly example, is when I was 3, I used to like to go get in my parents' bed. And one time I went and they had put a chest of drawers in front of their door. So I went back to my bed, so sad, right? So the experience of trying to go in, right? That's the experience. Then I had the feeling, oh, sad. Then I had the thought, I must not be lovable, right? Those things get together, the memory, the feeling, and the thought, and they go sit in the heart. And then the next time something happens similar, it reinforces this little ghost or thought form in the heart. So all of these things live in the heart, the memories, the feelings, and the thoughts we have about the feelings. And we move through our lives for decades with these things in our hearts. And they can run our lives. They can make us think we're not lovable. They can make us think we're not worthy. They can make us think that we can't ever have a healthy relationship. They can make us think that we have to always remain poor. These things in the heart. So when you're gaining mastery of the heart, you have to look in the heart and with immense honesty, see what is in your heart. Now, when I say see, not everybody is visual. So some people literally see things, and other people, it's more feeling things. But it's knowing what is in your heart. I'll give you 3 examples that are very tough and that are in many people's hearts. One is attachment. So this happens a lot with people. So parents and children, a parent can be very attached to a child or vice versa. It happens with siblings. It happens with couples. It happens with all kinds of different configurations. And I'm going to come to this question. There's a couple questions in the chat. I'm going to come to them in just a minute. So what's wrong with attachment? I had someone, I have this friend in Albany, Nuta, and she said to me, well, what's wrong with attachment? I mean, isn't love attachment? And I'm going to say, nope. Nope, it's not. Attachment comes with expectations. Love doesn't come with expectations. So for example, I made my mother this great bowl of soup and I worked on the soup for 2 hours and I took it to her and she didn't even say thank you. Right? Now I'm sad because she didn't say thank you. Or you always spend Friday nights with me. I always expect you to spend Friday nights with me, but you spent this Friday night by yourself and you didn't even call me. Now I'm disappointed. I'm sad. What made me sad? My expectation. What made me have that expectation? My attachment. So getting attachment, when you're working with attachment, you want to move from attachment to a trustee. Yes, this is my biological child, but I'm really just a trustee for this child. This child has their own destiny, their own life, etc. So you go from this attachment, this expectations and attachment to trustee. That's what you're doing in the heart, right? I'm going to give you 2 more, and then I'll go to the questions, and then we'll have a little meditation on cleaning the heart. One thing that happens for a lot of people is they end up with guilt in the heart. I did something so wrong that I can never be forgiven for this. It was so wrong, it is irretrievable. I cannot be forgiven. I cannot forgive myself, and the other person cannot forgive me, and it's impossible. Right? That kind of guilt, that is a heaviness that some people carry for years and years and years. And the one I always remember is this man who came to Peace Village. He was an Indian man. His father had died when he was a teenage boy, and he had inherited the job of finding a husband for his sister. And the husband that he found was an alcoholic. And she spent her life with an alcoholic. And so he said, I can never, it's my fault that she is with this alcoholic. So what do you do with guilt? What do you do when you feel you've done something so wrong that it has made a permanent damage and you can never fix it? So I said to him, well, when you went to find the husband, were you looking for a drunk? And he said, well, no. And I said, all right, you were a teenager. Did you do the best you could? Yeah. Okay. Then what you say in your mind, you don't need to drive over to your sister's house because there's also issues of destiny and karma and all kinds of other things. You say in your heart, I apologize for what I did that has caused you so much sorrow. At the time that I did it, I did the best I knew to do. I did the best I could under the circumstances with what I knew. I see, though, that it has caused you sorrow. I apologize for what I did and that it caused you sorrow. I ask for your forgiveness and I forgive myself. And then you release it completely from your heart. Completely. You release it. Same thing with blame. Sometimes we feel we have been so wronged by someone, we can never forgive them. We carry a hardness in our hearts for them. And, it's true, they may have done something pretty unforgivable, but who's suffering? Your heart is suffering, right? You're carrying the hardness in your heart. And the problem with this is when the heart is filled with sorrow or attachment or anger or guilt or blame, you really can't meditate. Because when you go inside, you're in yoga with your heartbreak. You're in yoga with your guilt or your blame or your disappointment. And there's no way you can connect to the source because you're connecting to this other lesser thing. So this ability to clean your heart is really, really important. And I want to practice it in just a minute, but I want to look in the chat here. So let's see. Where does a heart energy come from? What does heart energy mean or do, or what is it? What does heart energy tend to hold? So the heart, when we're talking about the heart, we're not actually talking about your organ, right? Although your organ's probably affected, but we're not really talking about your physical heart. We're talking about the heart of the soul, right? The place where feelings, the dimension of the soul where feelings are experienced. And of course, anything that has to do with the soul, whether it's a thought or it's a feeling or it's a memory or it's an awareness, these are all vibrational states. They're all subtle activities of the soul, expressed as vibrational states. I don't know if that helped or not. And then Natasha is saying, when the body is severely ill and painful, it is hard to have continued positive thoughts. Inevitably, negative thoughts of fear and worry creep in. How does one gain mastery during these times and come to a better place of acceptance? And one more, what if I don't feel guilt, but others feel I've greatly wronged them? And heart of hearts, and I know I haven't, how to reconcile. Okay, two big questions. So on the body, yes, these bodies drive us crazy, don't they? I mean, we generated them in some way too, and in some ways our pain is some part of our settlement. I too have a lot of all kinds of little body aches and pains, and I agree with you. It's a challenge, and you are not your body. And so there are lots of special meditations for the body, different places, but I would just say that in some ways you can treat this as a kind of a training. Get as much pain out of you as you can. Use whatever methods you use to get your pain at a minimum. And then use the need you have to get to a place of well-being as a way to raise the bar on your practice. And just make it simple. May my body be at peace. May my body be still. May this pain subside, and may I feel the contentment and quiet in the body. And then just let the body be and locate yourself as the soul. And it will take some practice, but there are wonderful examples of people who've done that. So, but I'm not going to say that it's easy, and I don't want to trivialize it. And when other people feel you have wronged them, you know what? It's all about what you hold in your heart. If you're holding good wishes for them, then you're fine. If your conscience is clear, then you just hold good wishes for them and don't allow yourself to be influenced by the fact that they are holding hard feelings for you. Let me say that again. So we tend to be influenced by what other people think and what other people feel. We're very influenced by those around us if we don't have inner mastery. And so you check your conscience first and you say, am I okay with what I've done and who I am and how I've been with this one? And if you are okay, then you stabilize yourself in your state of being okay. And then you have good wishes and only pure feelings for them. If you do this over time, they will soften. They won't know why, but they will pick up these vibrations that you're sending, this goodwill. But it can't be tainted with any little resentment or I know I'm right, or it can't be tainted with any of that. It has to be absolutely clean. So it has to be a clean feeling of goodwill and good wishes. May things go well for you. May you be at peace. Really pure, clean feelings. Okay? And then the last part, let me go through this cleaning the heart again. So, and we don't have enough time. I'm going to do a little tiny 2-minute meditation to just show you the steps. But when we're together, you're welcome, Natasha. When we're together someday, someplace, then we'll take the time and we'll do this properly. But just know that with cleaning the heart, so you are quiet. If you are a journaler, you can actually do some of this in writing. But if not, you just do it in your thoughts. So you get very quiet and you go inside and you notice what's in your heart. And for many of us, we already know what's there. we have been carrying it around and we're actually quite aware of it. But for others, maybe not. So you notice what's in your heart. Could be a pattern of fear, could be a pattern of nervousness, could be a pattern of sadness, whatever. You locate what's in your heart and you realize that it came to your heart because of something that happened to you. So it's very valid that it's there. It's not that it shouldn't be there. It's a valid thing that happened to you. And this was the way that you coped. And if you were a little child, even more, this is the way you coped. So now, in your greater awareness, you look at the thing in your heart, that little thought form that you made out of memories and feelings and thoughts and all of that, and you say to it, I see that you're in my heart. And if you know why it's there, you say, I actually know when you came to my heart. But if you don't know, it doesn't matter. And you say, but you know, now I don't need you in my heart anymore. It's time for you to leave. I want you to leave. And then with determination and love, you take this thought form that you've created way back whenever, and you move it out of your heart. You can walk it out of your heart. You can put it on a little boat and sail it out of your heart. You can tie it to a little helium balloon and ascend it out of your heart. But you move it out of your heart and immediately fill your heart with love. Now, love is natural. You have huge stores of love inside. So you fill yourself with those stores of love. If you are someone who has access to God's love, then you pull that down and pull God's powerful love into your heart. And you hold it there for a good long meditation. It can be a sitting meditation. It can be a walking meditation. You can reinforce it by journaling, but you keep the love in your heart. Now, when you're finished with your meditation, however long it took, maybe you meditated for 15 minutes or a half an hour or longer, realize that that has been in your heart for a while, and so it will try to come back. But you have already seen it, you've already named it, and you've already removed it from your heart. So don't pull it back in yourself. When you see the impulse for it to come back in, no, full stop. And again, you fill your heart with love. So you don't let this thing reside in your heart anymore. You don't need it anymore. Okay? We're trying to do very big things in a very short time. I hope it's not overwhelming. So, all right, so mastery of the mind, right, had to do with the full stop, seeing the kind of thoughts that were in there, removing the negative thought and replacing it with a positive thought, a powerful thought of virtue or positive emotional states. Mastery of the heart has to do with cleaning the heart, which means I see what's in my heart. I speak to that thing or write to that thing. I see that it's thoughts, it's fluff, it's thoughts and memories and feelings. And I, with clear focus and determination, I tell it it's time for it to go. In my mind, I take it out of my heart. and I fill my heart with love. And you think of whatever is your quickest access to love. If it's the love some human being gave you, start there. If it's the love from your childhood, start there. If you can manage the love of God, that's what will really fill your heart. So then you fill your heart with that love. All right? Okay. So now let's, got just a little bit left, so let me explain. The third dimension of your inner kingdom is what's called a divine intellect. For many people, it's actually asleep. But if you've started meditating, it will be awake. And the divine intellect's job is to give you divine insight and to allow you to connect to the source. So what you don't want is you don't want it wandering all over the place. You want it to be clear and stable. Intellect, some people feel it here. It also has to do with your conscience. Your intellect, your divine intellect, is what helps you discern when you're in a good situation, when you're in a bad situation, when you're in an ethical crunch. If you're doing something that's a little off, it's your divine intellect that will help you sort and discern and land in the right place. So what you want is for this to, for your inner kingdom, is you want your mind to be at peace. You want your heart to be clean. And you want your intellect, the line of your intellect, to be clear. Now, if that's all you did, if you only did that, you would see huge improvement in your life. Huge. You would feel your life changing instantly as soon as you begin to put this into motion with your meditations, morning, nighttime, whenever. And the ultimate is that the self, the soul, seated here in its seat, with all of that alignment, peace of mind, clean heart, clear intellect, turns its attention to God, to the divine, to the source energy, the source presence. And as soon as you make that contact, the flood of love and peace and inner power and joy comes instantly to the soul. Very, very powerful. That source, God, is not omnipresent. That source is in a world of light and is completely accessible to you just by your awareness and your invoking, remembering that source. And when you can do that, which you absolutely can, I'm not talking about something that only people with, 100 years of meditation practice and sitting on mountains can do. Every single soul has this access and the right to this access, but you have to understand the door in, right? So if your mind is filled with junk and your heart's filled with other junk and you're reaching out, you're calling out, it's not going to work because you're talking about a very subtle energy. The energy of the source, of the divine, is the most refined energy in the universe. So you prepare yourself for that. You master this inner kingdom in the ways that I've explained. And then you put your attention on the divine. And you allow yourself to be filled. It's like a waterfall. It's like a current of love. Now we are up at the edge of our time. Do we want to do a little quick meditation? Do you have time for a little quick meditation? We'll make it pretty short. So, okay. So get comfortable. Either your feet are on the floor or they're under you. Your back is straight. Your neck is over your back. And you're seated on the seat of the soul behind the eyes. And you've come with the intention of putting yourself in the most elevated and beautiful space. And so first you take a look at your mind. And you tell your mind in the sweetest possible way to become still. And you give the mind a beautiful thought, a peace or kindness, tenderness, compassion, love. Allow your mind to hold that thought just for a few moments. Then you move your attention to your heart. And you do see what's going on with your heart. And in the most gentle way, you encourage the heart to let go of whatever it is that's come and lodged in your heart. And as it moves away, you fill the heart with love. It bubbles up like a wellspring inside. And you feel light and contented and full. And you can feel the vibrations from your heart moving out through your body, into the room, touching everyone you know and everyone you don't know. And then you move to your intellect, your divine intellect, and you see that it's completely clear. And so you follow the beam of your intellect, and in an instant, you find yourself with the divine. You are transformed by this connection. You are completely at peace. You are completely loving. And you know that with moments like this, you can change your life And if enough of us have moments like this, we can change our world. Om Shanti.
Shanti, Sister Judy, as well.